This is a cheery topic. Hello. Today we are going to be talking about the really thrilling topic of access. Yesterday it was International Day of People with Disabilities. I don't know who named it that. I don't like it. Just call it Day of the Disabled. It sounds much more menacing, which is how I would like disabled people to be viewed. No. It's every year there is a day when there's lots of awareness raising going on and a lot of disabled people put time, effort, energy, money into talking about the disabled experience and how we can make the world better. Hello, my name's Becky. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. I am a creator who does videos on sewing. I talk about disability, fashion, books. As you can tell, I'm quite into history also. And yes, I do normally look like this. I went out earlier and I kind of forgot, and then people were staring at me and I was like, why are they staring at me? And I am disabled. I have multiple chronic illnesses. I have had mental illness in the past. I still struggle with my mental health. I use mobility aids and I suffer from chronic pain and fatigue. I have type 1 diabetes, so I have a robot organ, all sorts of fun things. But for years and years, I did not identify as disabled. And I can honestly say that learning about disability justice is a bit like being in the Matrix. Once you've taken that pill, you can't unsee it. And so I was one of those people who posted something yesterday, firstly talking about my own experience and then asking people, you know, disabled friends, what would you like to change? And non-disabled pals, what are you going to do to help? Because I'm not going to lie, it is exhausting trying to make the world more accessible. And disabled people can't do it on their own. We are tired to start off with. And I was really shocked because, and I shouldn't have been, and that's why I'm making this video. I was really shocked because I got nothing back from that. I left a little question box up on Instagram. There are a couple of responses from people who are disabled saying, I would love for this to change. Audio access, things like train announcements. If you're deaf or hard of hearing, you might miss that. Steps up to lifts. What? Why? But what I didn't get was anyone saying that they were going to do something specifically to help to make changes. And last night at about 9 o'clock, I was like, this is ridiculous. We're never going to change anything if people don't realise that they are the solution. And I got really upset and defeatist, which is not like me. And I said to my partner, is there any point in me saying anything about this? And his answer was incredibly enlightening. He said, you can, but everyone is exhausted and there's so much going on in the world that needs changing that people are just tired and they may not care. Now, I think that that is definitely one reason why people did not respond. Add to that the fact that disability, I've said it before, disabled is not a bad word, but society, particularly Western society, teaches us that being disabled is one of the worst things that can happen to you. That messaging comes out in the medical model of disability, where doctors see disability as a problem to be fixed. Abelism. It comes out in situations like this pandemic, where people are told that, oh well, if they died and they had an underlying condition, that's fine. Spoiler alert, it's not. We're taught that being disabled is just really sad. If you have to use mobility aids, oh, it's really sad, it's a tragedy. The other week, a young woman who literally sued her doctor because she was born with spina bifida, and the messages she has had her whole life are essentially that she should not exist. That disability and limb difference and deformity is inherently bad, wrong, should not exist. And so she has sued her doctor for not telling her mother early enough or clearly enough that she should have been taking folic acid. Now, besides the fact that the kind of spina bifida that this person has is not the kind that is in any way dictated by the amount of folic acid that you take when you're pregnant, this sets a really dangerous precedent, and it feeds into the narrative that disability is inherently bad for society and that disabled people should not exist. This is called eugenics. I don't think I need to explain what eugenics is. If you don't know, please go and look it up and then come back to this video. But also, if people just ignore their disability or push through it or try and do things in spite of it, that they're really inspiring. These are both impossible standards to live up to. I don't want to be a tragedy and I don't want to be an inspiration either. I'm just a person. That makes disability seem really scary, and it's why a lot of people who are disabled don't want to identify as disabled. They don't want to be viewed as a burden, they don't want to be viewed as a tragedy, and they don't want to be viewed as someone who can't do things. Now actually, the thing that disables most people who are disabled or chronically ill is the world around them, society, the way it's set up. They say the first sign of civilization was when a femur that was broken was repaired. That means that rather than leaving someone out in the cold to die because they were injured and would have become disabled, a community decided to care for them and heal them. And I think part of the problem is that we've become so individualist that we can't imagine a society where everyone is included and cared for and valued. But I think that is possible, and I think it's possible by doing what I'm about to suggest. And like I said, once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. Ableism and lack of access is everywhere. So I think perhaps people don't know what to say. They're scared of saying the wrong thing. They're scared of disability itself. They just don't want to think about it. Or they're really tired and they just don't have the energy to think about another thing that is going to take up so much time and effort. You know, the refugee crisis, the environment, coronavirus, racism, sexism, all of the isms. It's all just a massive clusterfuck, excuse my language. And I can understand that that is really exhausting. So what is the point of this video? I've just said we're all really tired. That resistance is futile and that it's all a bit rubbish. Yeah. But disabled people can't fix this on their own. And the way that things tend to change, apart from through revolution, and some might say this is a quiet revolution of its own, is through persistence. I know some people who are disabled and also incredibly persistent. They have to be, because keeping on top of your own health is a constant job. They should not then have to be persistent in demanding that they be included in society. They are some of the most creative, passionate, funny, amazing people. But when the world doesn't let you through the front door, doesn't let you downstairs into the club, doesn't let you into the place of worship, doesn't include you, that's really draining. And in terms of the oppression Olympics that we tend to create as a hierarchy, disabled people end up at the bottom a lot. And you could say that, well, after we've solved climate change and racism and all those other things, you just don't have energy. And that you're not disabled, so it just doesn't apply to you. I have some interesting news on that front, which is that disability is the one marginalised identity that you can go to sleep not being a part of and wake up as a fully paid up member of that club. Disability can happen to anyone at any time, and if you live long enough, you will become disabled. Now that sounds scary, but the other thing that I have learnt from identifying as disabled, learning from other brilliant disabled people who are campaigners, communicators, advocates, is that the disabled experience is not a tragedy. It's different, but it's human, and it can happen to anyone, and it does happen to so many people. And It can be joyful and beautiful and create communities you never thought you'd be a part of. But you won't get to meet those people in those amazing communities if they don't get a seat at the table, if they can't get in. So what I would like to ask you to do, disabled, non-disabled, neurodivergent, chronically ill, have a think about the one little thing that you can do to make someone else's life easier. Is the cable in the disabled toilet in your workplace tied up so that a disabled person cannot reach it in an emergency? Could you ask someone in HR or the maintenance guy to cut that cable down so that they can reach it? Brilliant. You are an ally, you have made a difference. As you're watching this on social media, make sure that you've included closed captions or a transcript, or both ideally. Could you, if you're on TikTok or Instagram, include captions in your videos so that people who are deaf, hard of hearing, have audio processing issues can engage with it too? Can you, if you're on Instagram, use camel case in your hashtags? That means using capital letters for each word so that a screen reader can pick it up. Can you include image descriptions by going to the alt text feature in your posts, and in the body of the post, use square brackets, image description, describe the image, and then comma, end, close square brackets. And if you're not doing that already, can you commit to doing it every time you post? Because it makes a huge difference to who can access your content and your community. A lot of disabled people rely on digital communities, especially at the moment in the pandemic when it's not safe to meet in person. So can you include them there? And I can tell you now that 75% of people watching this video won't use closed captions, but around about 25 to 30% of everyone that watches my videos uses my closed captions. And I love that I have such a diverse group of you as a result. That's wonderful. Could you look at your place of work or worship, even your place where you go to work out, and see if you could actually get in if you weren't walking? Ask for an interpreter. Make sure that there is someone there interpreting. If you are filming something for work, for school, could you buy things from disabled people? Could you sign petitions that mean that things like what happened the other day, literally yesterday, Boris Johnson wore a purple tie to celebrate International Day of People with Disabilities, Day of the Disabled, and then personal independence payment, which is the disability benefit, but that they're going to assess people more regularly as a money-saving exercise. So could you sign petitions that stop things like that happening? For your friends, check that where you're meeting up is accessible. Could you check that they have allergies on the menu? Could you check that they can actually get through the door and that there is somewhere for them to sit down when they get there? We don't have to do big things. We have to make lots of little changes. As I said, persistence is the way that things get changed, and it is exhausting to run hell for leather at something for 2 weeks and then just never want to think about it again because you have expended so much energy and you don't have any left, which is why rest, healing are so important in activism and advocacy work. And by helping to make just a little change that doesn't cost you too much of your time or energy, you are then taking that burden of someone who is disabled, who is already fighting with the world for their right to be here, to exist, to live their life like a normal person. And so I'm not asking you to give up on any of the other things that you care about. I'm not asking for people to move heaven and earth every single day, because no one can. But what I am asking is that you make small commitments to yourself, to the people you love, to the community around you, that then mean that together we make the world more accessible. Because when the most marginalised people have access, it is better for everyone. You can't really deny that we're here and that we have human rights too, because that's it at the end of the day. Disabled people, a lot of the time, do not have their basic human rights in terms of healthcare, in terms of access, in terms of the way they are treated by other people. And that needs to change. And we can change that. As people who are not disabled, sometimes referred to as pre-disabled, because like I said, if we live long enough, we all are in the end. This is your problem too, but it also means that you are part of the solution, and we would love to have you along. So, sorry, that was quite a serious video. This is not what I was expecting to be filming today, but yesterday really took me aback. In the notes, I'm going to leave you some resources so that you can go and look at the really cool stuff that other disabled activists and advocates are doing. You can go and learn from them. The one thing I will say is please do not start asking them to redo that work or answer your specific questions if it is going to cause them more grief and more effort and more energy expended. That is not their job. And there are lots and lots of things out there that you can go read and watch to learn about this stuff without asking them directly for their unpaid labour. If you found this video useful, if you in fact enjoyed it, and if this was in some way cathartic for you as it was for me, please feel free to like and subscribe. I make videos whenever I have the energy for it and the time. But I really appreciate you being here, and sure, this is probably one way to tank my channel. And I wouldn't be being myself if I didn't talk about this. So, if you have got an idea of what you are going to do, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Let's hold each other accountable to this stuff. Let's give people encouragement and point them in the right direction. And I will say that if you do have any questions and it's a case of you're just not sure how to go about this, I am personally saying I will do my best to help. I've got some energy for that at the moment, and if I stop having energy for that, I will let you know. Thank you for watching. I hope you're all well, and I will see you very soon. Take care. Is there anything else I needed to say? They hate disabled people. They would rather we didn't exist. And that message that disabled people's lives are worthless is not true, but it really fucking hurts. It's kind of the shitty reality of it. I've been doing this for ages. No one watches it. What a fun discussion. This is a really difficult thing to talk about. Yeah, you...